Hey guys, it's at the movies with Matt and Ryan, but it's just Ryan this time. We haven't put any content out in a while because we had issues with the station. Um, so I said, yeah, we had issues with the station because there was like an outage here at Salem last week, and it's been a couple weeks, and I haven't been on screen. Matt did a Oscar preview thing on screen the other day, and I wanted to do my own since Matt's gone for the weekend, and we'll do our radio show. We have our show on Sunday, this Sunday coming up, but we haven't put out anything, and it'd be nice to. So I'm gonna. I wanted to do a big. Oh, I want to do a Big Sean album review instead of kind of go away from movies a little bit and do a Big Sean review because I wrote a review, but it wasn't edited and it was messed up, and I wanted to review it on the show last Sunday, which obviously didn't work out. So might as well do it now. It's been over a week, so I mean, people probably have already seen reviews and listened to it. But oh well, I'm still gonna do it anyway because I liked it that much. Um, so Big Sean, I believe this is his third studio album. I think he had a couple mixtapes before he got signed to Good Music, which is Kanye West's label. But he's had three studio albums. His last one was Dark Sky Paradise, which got I think generally mixed reviews. People said, Big Sean still was trying to find his voice. He was still kind of immature. I liked the album, but some people didn't. But this new one, I decided it's called, is actually probably his best album. I think it's his. I think he finally did find his own voice. I think he finally is mature. And some people said he's still a Drake copy, which I don't see at all. Maybe some of the production, but as far as the flows and everything, I don't think he's the same as Drake. But this album's also different from his other two because it's a concept album. There's a story behind it. It's a narrative. And after a couple interviews and stuff, he said that he named it "I Decided" because it's it's his decision in life. Like it can mean anything you want it to be. I guess it's kind of open ended, but um, so basically, what the narrative is, the cover of the album is on the left side of the album is his older self, like his future self when he's 60 or 70 years old, and the right side is his present self. And the whole concept is that this older version of him has lived his life and he's regretted everything he's done, whether it's the girls he's been with or his relationship with his family, and he wish he could bring it all back, and this is his chance to. And it's there's some mature topics on this album, more mature than I thought there was going to be, but it doesn't have. It's not without the few party songs as usual with him. So he starts off with an intro track which is his older self talking about how he regrets everything and wants to go back, which sets the mood for the album, which into the next song, or the first official song, which is Light, which is a very dark nocturnal beat behind it. No bass though, which is kind of cool anyway. But he has a nice feature with Jeremiah on it. Jeremiah brings a nice hook to the song, and it's kind of feels like a J. Cole track in the sense that it's about kind of problems that African Americans have to deal with, and he there's a couple lyrics like 5-0 takes a shot, which is this police and people taking their cars, their cribs, and all that, and it's a typical. It seems like a J. Cole track, but it's a really good song, and which then he goes into Bounce Back, which is the third song on the album, and he previously said that he didn't want to make a radio single. He didn't want to play to the crowds per se. Bounce Back, I think that plan kind of backfired on him. Bounce Back is like the new anthem of the winter, it seems like, and it's a really good song. There's a lot of people that aren't even rap fans that like the song. He changes up his flows nicely on the song. There's a great hook. Very positive song. He said it was about how when he says the lyric, "Last night took an L, tonight I bounce back." It's about 2016 and how it was kind of a tough year for a lot of people, but you can bounce back now. It's a new year and everything, so it's a positive song. It's a great song. And then he has No Favors, which is the next song on the track. And No Favors has Eminem on it. I mean, Eminem kind of. I mean, I think it's a great song, but Eminem kind of 2.5 minutes of him rapping nonsense. I mean, what else do you expect from him? So he has a couple questionable lyrics as usual. He has like a reference to rape and everything, but I mean, what do you expect from him? And then he goes in. You start hearing more of the narrative at the end of that song, where you kind of um, where his conscience, where his older self is starting to act as his conscience, and we start to realize that as he progresses through this album. With the next song, "Jump Out the Window," it's called, which is basically what he says is about. Um, he's had plenty of opportunities with girls and stuff, and it's basically about telling a girl how you feel about her and not being afraid of that. So it's a pretty good song. It has a great beat on the background. It sounds like a club banger, but it's kind of emotional. I think like a lot of the lyrics, it's kind of depressing. Honestly, I mean the hook is I feel like I could jump out the window and all that. So it's kind of a depressing song despite the beat, but it's a very good song. And there's not a lot of I don't think there's really any weak song on this album, but besides the interlude, which I believe is well, after Jump Out the Window, we have his second single that he released besides Bounce Back. It was Moves, which is kind of his most egotistical song, I guess you could say, on the album. Um, he's much more positive on this track than he was with Jump Out the Window. And again, it's a good beat. I believe it's produced by Metro Booming, which I forgot to mention. A lot of these songs are produced by Metro Booming and Travis Scott, actually. Travis Scott's a very good producer, so I'm glad he was on it. I'm a big fan of him. And Kanye also produced some of the beats too. And I mean, he's pretty evident that he's one of the greatest producers ever. So that's why a lot of production was great. And then after Moves, there's a interlude called Same Time Part 1 with Janae Aiko, which I think he's dating right now. I'm not too sure. It's kind of weak. It's kind of pointless. Definitely my least favorite part of the album. But then it starts picking up again after that. We go into Omi. Omi's another kind of forgettable track on it, but it's still pretty good once you listen to it. It's got a good beat on it. Same, he talks about girl issues and all that. Nothing different with him, so it's kind of forgettable. And then the album kind of takes a turn. It becomes more depressing. The next song is Halfway Off the Balcony, which is the third single he released prior to the album. Very kind of depressing song. He kind of a lot of realizations on the track. Another nocturnal trap beat in the background. Pretty good song. And then the next song, Voices in My Head / Stick to the Plan, is a phenomenal switch up. I think it starts off with him kind of kind of doubting his conscience, and then he starts to switch up, and he tells himself you gotta stick to the plan no matter what. Some people hate the song because it's like stick to the plan. It's like kind of repetitive, but it's still pretty interesting. It's a new side of Big Sean that I think I haven't seen, where he's kind of I don't know. The song's got a little more depth to it than most of his songs, so I still think it's a newer version of Sean, and it's definitely a different type of production where, like I said, the beat switches up a few times. And the last 30 seconds of the song is very good. He raps the fastest I think I've ever seen him rap in those last 30 seconds, which is pretty impressive. So overall, pretty good song. And then he closes it out nicely. I kind of like the closeout more than the beginning, where he goes into Sunday Morning Jetpack, which is probably the happiest song on the album, in my opinion. It's about how he misses the Sunday mornings with his grandma and his family, and how they used to go to church and have dinner. And it's kind of a nice moment that I think a lot of people can relate to. Not everyone's religious, obviously, but some people might miss those times with your family. So it's a nice song. And I think it's the best feature. The Dream is on it. They have a very nice hook at the end that tops it off pretty well. I think it's probably one of the stronger tracks on it, honestly. And then he goes into Inspire Me, which is about his mom. And he talks a lot. Big Sean has always been, he's always talked about his family and how much they've meant to him. Even on the last album, Dark Sky Paradise and One Man Can Change the World, he talks about his grandma. So his family's obviously a big influence, and it shows again with these last couple songs. Inspire Me is one of them. The hook's a little weak, but it's good intentions. It kind of reminds me of Hey Mama, which was Kanye West from Late Registration back in 2005, which is a very famous song. And yeah, it's a good song. It kind of, like I said, kind of a weak hook, but it's got good intentions. And then the last two songs include Sacrifices, which is the second to last song on the album, with Migos feature, which I did not like their album Culture, but they have a very good feature on this track as well. Sacrifices. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory what it's about. Big Sean talks about the sacrifices he had to make to be where he's at today. So I mean, it's a pretty good song though. Migos. I think Migos is the highlight on this track, honestly. And then he closes it out with "Bigger Than Me," which I think is a great closeout. He actually adds a choir from Flint, Michigan on it, which is pretty cool. It's kind of like a Chance the Rapper type. It reminded me of Chance a lot because with the choir and the nice beat in the background, and how he talks. It's called "Bigger Than Me." He talks about, although he's always going to think that he's the number one rapper out there, he realizes that a lot of things are bigger than him, and he has to, kind of stay grounded in that sense. So it's a great way to close out the album, great way to close out the narrative. There's a nice narrative at the end of the song where he explains, his state of mind now and where he's going to go next. So, I mean, I think it's an overall impressive album. A lot of people, I think Metacritic gave it like a 7 out of 10, which is pretty good. I'd give it a 9 out of 10. There wasn't, like I said, the one track that I thought was kind of pointless was the interlude with Janae Aiko. But other than that, impressive showing for Big Sean, and hopefully it looks like he's in the right direction and he's going to continue to progress. But I'm going to put this up on YouTube because we haven't put up a lot in a while. It's not movies, so I mean, oh well. We'll be back Sunday with our radio show. We have a lot of movies to review. We're going to review The Great Wall with Matt Damon, which has gotten a lot of talk recently in the news. Not really because of the movie, but because of some controversy surrounding the casting of Matt Damon. And then we'll review a couple others too. We'll have to check that out. And we'll have a couple other debates too. So still kind of up in the air, but stay tuned for that. I'll put this up though for now. And like, subscribe, look up our channel at the Movies with Matt Ryan. We got 5 subscribers now, which is kind of nice. Let's keep it going. So, but I'm Ryan. This was At the Movies with Matt Ryan. Big Sean review. We'll see you.